I've been a fan of Against Me way back since the 90s when they used to play on the Warped Tour. And in the country, Laura Jane Grace came into the right note and played us a song. Here it is.
All dressed up and nowhere to go, walking the streets all alone. Another night to wish that you could forget, making yourself up as you go along. Who's gonna take you home tonight? Who's gonna take you home? Who's gonna take you home tonight? Who's gonna take you home? Does God bless your transsexual hearts? True trans or rebel? Yet to be born, you're already dead. Sleep with the gun beside you in bed. Follow it through to the obvious ends. See your veins wide open, you bleed it out. Who's gonna take you home tonight? Who's gonna take you home? Who's gonna take you home tonight? Who's gonna take you home? Does God bless your transsexual hearts? True trans or rebel? Oh, you should have been a mother, should have been a wife, should have been gone from here years ago. You should be living a different life. Who's gonna take you home tonight? Who's gonna take you home? Who's gonna take you home tonight? Who's gonna take you home? Who's gonna take you home tonight? Who's gonna take you home? Does God bless your transsexual hearts? True trans or rebel? True trans or rebel?
Laura, welcome. Welcome to The Right Note. Thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
And welcome back to Australia.
Thank you.
You've had quite a sort of long relationship with this country.
We have, yeah.
What's your memories of the first time you came here?
I have so many memories of the first time we came here. I want to say it was like 2003. I know it was on our second record as The Eternal Cowboy. And Graham Nixon from Resist Records brought us over. And we played with a band called Co-Nation for the whole tour and some shows of Death in the Family. And it was just incredible, like incredible traveling. And, you know, coming from Florida especially, it was such an odd mixture of like feeling familiar while feeling so far away from home, especially in places like Brisbane, because Brisbane could be South Florida minus like the hills and stuff like that. But so, I don't know, it's just like, I've always like loved touring in Australia. Like coming here has always been something I looked forward to, and we've been lucky where like every single record cycle we've come here, and I even came here for like a solo run one time, and just I don't know, very thankful for all the memories. Lots of good memories at the Art House in Melbourne, like hanging there, shows and partying, and yeah, just lots of friends I've kept in touch with over the years too.
That's great. And you're in the country at the moment for the Groove in the Move festivals.
Yes.
How has that been?
Incredible. Like. An amazingly well-organized and well-run festival. And I was saying earlier, like, few festivals we've been a part of go so out of their way to, like, foster a feeling of camaraderie amongst the bands and artists backstage and, like, make sure everyone, like, gets to know each other and hang out. And it's kind of, you know, it's a shorter festival. I wish it was longer. because at this point, like, yeah, everyone is very comfortable and wants to hang out, but I mean, they take care of you. You know, there's like a organic superfood stand backstage every day for the artists with like dried mango and like pumpkin seeds and like stuff like that, where I don't know, and like free coffee, a barista serving espressos, and it's like almost a little too posh. It's really great.
Don't get used to that.
Yeah, no, I could. I'll be honest. I no joke. Like I say all the time, I'm like, if we could just be the biggest band in all of Australia, no one else cared about us in the world, I'd be fine with that. Just tour here every couple of like months. You know, that'd be great.
Well, another band that's in town at the moment is Green Day,
Yeah.
who you just finished touring with in the States. What was that experience like?
Well, Green Day was my first concert ever. So like 14 years old or 13 years old, I think it was. I went and saw them like just as Dookie was coming out, and that show changed my life. You know, like I remember sitting on the street corner afterwards, waiting for my ride with my best friend, and being like, "Let's start a punk band. We need to do this." You know, so they were like, you know, a band that like made me want to do it, and then also like over the years have extended themselves to us and like supported our band and you know, invited us to share the stage with them. We played with them in 2005 at Giants Stadium and Foxborough Stadium in Boston and Soccer Stadium in LA around the American Idiot album, and that was just like mind-blowing. And then to go out with them for like a month, you know, like right before this, it's just incredible.
Yeah.
Like I unfortunately, like I can't really keep my cool when I'm talking to them. I'm just like instantly 14 years old. but
Really?
Totally. Yeah. It's like I don't think I'll ever get past that, you know?
So you are in the country for a couple of reasons, obviously, to support Against Me's latest album, Shapeshift With Me. But before we talk about that, let's talk about the song which you just played for us, True Trans Soul Rebel, which was off the album prior to Shapeshift With Me. What does that song mean to you?
You know, that song, like, I guess kind of in a way, like, relates to a full circle thing in the way, like, talking about Green Day does, where, like, you know, that's a song where never in a million years would I have imagined myself being able to be on stage and to play and to sing, like, the lyrical content of it, and to have people sing back at me. So, like, you know, especially to be on stage opening for Green Day and play a song like that, you know, like 14-year-old me's mind just explodes.
Yeah. Okay. And Shapeshift With Me has been out for about 6-7 months now.
Yeah.
How's it sitting with you?
I don't know if this will sound weird, but it's like an easy album to live with in that, like, it feels good. Like, it's always felt good. The songs always felt good going in to record it. And then afterwards, like, playing it live, there's been an immediate connection with the crowd. People sing along, and none of the songs feel like you have to like work for them live or anything like that.
Right.
It's really a record that was like born on the road, so it just feels like a natural extension of it.
Okay.
And you know, talking about like the record came out in September, and then my book came out in November. So like working on a book and a record at the same time, that was like the first time in my adult artist life where the pressure wasn't on songwriting and more of the pressure was on writing a book.
Right.
So songwriting became this like extracurricular thing again, where it was just like, I should be doing this, but instead I'm just gonna write another song and procrastinate a little bit more on what I should be turning in.
Right.
So it was like amazingly like liberating as a songwriter to just like be able to do whatever, you know?
Yeah. So is that the secret now for your 8th record? Write another book?
I think, you know, well, see, it sucks because, like, I thought, you know, like, when we finished this record, I was like, I did it. I cracked the code. I stumbled on how I'm going to do it for the rest of my life. And I unfortunately, like, realized then, come November and come the election in the U.S., I was like, oh, no, I've been, like, lulled into a false sense of security.
Right.
And now I kind of feel stupid just wanting to, like, write dumb love songs. And, like, I feel like, you know, oh my God, like there's terrible things happening in the world, and now I need to maybe focus on that a little more again.
Right, okay. But the album is quite different for you in that regard, isn't it? In the fact that it is sort of love songs.
Sure.
What was it about now in your career that made you kind of focus in that direction?
I guess, you know, like going back to saying like, you know, that there was no pressure on it, and that like for the first time also, like it felt like there were no expectations on what the record should be specifically about, you know? And coming from like the anarcho-punk scene and stuff like that in the past, like I always felt like there was this pressure where it's like, okay, got to have like 2 or 3 songs on the record that talk about anarchy, or else like the punks are gonna be pissed. Yeah. And like reaching a place where you're comfortable with yourself and like being out as a trans person, you know, it feels like that simple things to me feel very revolutionary, and I like exploring that.
Okay, and let's talk about the memoir, which is called Training. I want to get the complete title correct, with the subtitle Confessions of Punk Rock's Most Infamous Anarchist Sellout.
Yes.
Why now a book? Why was the time right?
There was a number of reasons, really. Like, I started working on it, like, in earnest right after I came out, and initially it was like, you know, thinking like, okay, like I've just come out as trans, and like maybe going back and reconciling with the past as I start to move forward is a good idea. And I've been an avid journaler since I was like 8 years old. I started as a school assignment and just like kept going because I got a good grade on it. So I had all these journals from like, you know, elementary school through middle school, high school, to like being in a band. And that's like, you know, 20 some odd years of journaling, and just like the physical weight of it, not even the metaphorical weight of it all, but like the boxes that I had to find places in my apartment to hide so people wouldn't go into my journals, just started to feel kind of overwhelming too, where it was like, okay, you know, instead of like somebody one day stumbling upon these journals, maybe I should just go ahead and like offer them up.
Yeah.
And then I won't have to feel like I'm hiding anything, you know, even though I'm out, I'm open, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, it felt like it was the right time to go back and reconcile with the past. It felt like also that writing a book meant that I wouldn't have to deal with people. It was just like a very isolating, solitary thing to do. Yeah.
Even though in those journals there must have been some very emotional things that you read. There must have been some funny things as well that you read as a 14-year-old kind of scribbling away.
Yeah, no, totally. And I mean, like, you know, it was tough, like, because obviously with that many journals, I had to cut a lot. Like, it's like maybe an 80,000 word book or something like that. And when I fully transcribed all my journals, I had like close to 2 million words. It was just like an absurd amount of words. So, you know, it was hard to like let go of some things and not include the really lighthearted stuff that meant a lot to me, like stupid stuff where like, I remember we went to like some party in Anchorage, Alaska, the first time we played there, and Black Arm John, our roadie at the time, like got his shoes stolen at the party, and so ended up like going home from the party with no shoes, and like it was the most hilarious thing to us at the time. But like writing it out, I was like, I don't know, maybe we got to cut that, you know. So like some of those lighter, softer moments did get cut.
Maybe for volume 2.
Exactly.
Yeah. So was it liberating, that whole process?
Yeah, I mean, it was like, you know, ultimately, honestly, it was like really depressing in a lot of ways, where like at the end of it, you know, really kind of feeling forced to like, okay, that's it, you know, like that's the truth, all kind of distilled down. And a lot of it's really ugly, and a lot of it is like things I regret, you know, like if I had to say anything I regret about like my adult life with touring, is that like I've had the opportunity to go to so many amazing places and do so much amazing touring with so many amazing bands and have so many rad experiences, but for so much of it I was like just so fucking depressed, you know, and like just because I was dealing with what I was dealing with. So to have the chance now to like still be here and still tour, but have kind of a total different mental approach to it is like, I feel so thankful for that, you know.
That's great. And you've become, you know, a very outspoken voice for trans rights. When you first decided to transition, did you see that becoming the case, that you would take on that role?
To an extent, you know, like I'm always really clear with people of like, I don't have all the answers. I can only offer up and share my experiences or my opinions on the way things have affected me or my experiences, you know? But like going into it, I knew that no doubt like that would inevitably be a focus when talking about things, when promoting a record or whatever, you know, so why not kind of own that and embrace that and control that as opposed to letting other people control it, you know? I don't have the option of pretending my past didn't exist, you know?
Yeah, of course. And I guess when you are talking to people and perhaps trying to educate people, are there certain particular, I guess, misunderstandings or misapprehensions that you encounter quite often that you try to talk about?
Sure, you know, some smaller, some larger or whatever, but like, you know, that was kind of the thing also, is like as I started doing press and doing interviews, is like I kind of realized it was easy in that like it's easy for me to talk about just because it's true. I know it, you know, like, so I don't have to like really think of like, oh, what's the answer to this question? I just can like say like, oh, this is the answer, you know, from my perspective. But like with that, you know, I've always tried to take the approach, and I really feel like from doing it in a interview context, I'm able to apply patience in real life to realizing that like, you know, it's a cliche. There is no such thing as a stupid like question. You know, like sometimes there are like poorly phrased questions. You know, but just like you know, having the humility to like to try and work with somebody to like, because you have this moment, like
Yeah.
talking with you right now, like I have the opportunity to reach whoever's watching. I have the opportunity to reach you. I have the opportunity to reach all the people who are behind the cameras. So what an incredible opportunity to open someone's mind and to educate people. And I wouldn't want to like take that for granted.
Yeah, absolutely. In America, things are in an interesting situation, obviously, with President Trump. What has he done for trans people in terms of how you feel safe, for people who perhaps are struggling with gender dysphoria and want to transition? Has some of his actions made it a more dangerous or a less safe place for some of those people, do you think?
I thought you were just at first going to ask, what has Trump done for trans people? And I was going to say nothing.
Nothing, yeah.
I think overall, though, he has created an atmosphere where, you know, everyone feels unsafe, where everyone feels like their basic human rights are threatened. And that's not even just trans people, but sure, for trans people too, you know? And it feels like, especially in the last couple of years where there were so many major advancements in visibility and in trans rights in the US, that so many people take this as like a real like step backwards and are worried that like those advancements will be lost, you know? And it's unfortunate hearing people oftentimes throw trans people under the bus when like now, where people are like, okay, now is not the time to focus on identity politics. We've got to focus on the real things, which is like kind of like saying like, you know, equal rights for all, except for now that my rights are being threatened. So we'll get to your rights a little later. But, you know, right now we got to focus on me, you know? So I don't know. I feel like really like, you know, Trump speaks to a minority of people and his power is based on catering to a minority of people. The opposition is already a majority. So the idea of like, of turning that around, you know, and all of a sudden only catering to a minority within the opposition, I just feel is like really foolish to do. And the message should always be equality for all at all costs.
Absolutely. And will this be fuel for some of your songwriting, do you think?
I think so, yes.
Yeah, okay. And you, I guess, in the length of Against Me's career, you've seen 4 presidents. Clinton, Bush, Obama,
Mind-blowing, yeah.
Trump. Does that give you a perspective on the whole political game in the US?
Yeah, it really does. You know, it can't help but it sometimes it really does blow my mind thinking that. But like, you know, I mean, especially like 8 years of Bush, you know, where like, you know, seeing the country go to war and then like kind of exist in a state of perpetual war, you know, and now like it's crazy to me feeling like it almost feels like happier days looking back at Bush,
Right,
you know, comparatively, which is just nuts. But it does give you perspective, you know, that things change, but that change is really like up to you and up to the people to make sure it happens.
Yeah, okay. And talking about the lifespan of the group, I believe this year is your 20th anniversary.
Technically, yeah.
Technically, yeah. Is that, I mean, what does that mean? Does it mean anything to you, that landmark?
It's a real head trip. I'm like trying to get my head around it, honestly. Like I started the band when I was 17 in like 1997 as a bedroom project where I was playing in other bands. I had a 4-track cassette recorder and an acoustic guitar. So it was just like, I want to write 10 songs and I want to record them and then I'm going to dub the copies and give them out to my friends. And then it was like, and now I want to play a show just because like the idea of just me and an acoustic guitar was terrifying to me. And then I like accomplished that goal and I realized like, it's kind of boring to play by yourself with just an acoustic guitar. So I want to get a drummer. And it all just kind of went from there. And like to look back on it and realize like distinct periods of time within the band and to see how that worked and to see like how things changed and to feel like to a certain extent like, and this isn't to say like I don't still have ambitions and things I want to accomplish, but that like I feel like, yeah, like I did what I wanted to do. I did what I set out to do and I accomplished things that I put my mind to, you know, like, and that can't help but be a satisfying feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. And presumably it's been quite a toll to keep the band together for that, to keep it going for that kind of time?
I mean, yeah, sure, you know, like, but also no, like, I feel like that's what you realize after a point is that, like, if you are going to be a musician or an artist for life, is that, like, it ebbs and flows, you know, like there are high moments and there are low points, and like your reasoning for doing what you do cannot be based on popularity. It can't be based on financial success. It really has to be based on like your love of doing what you do, your love of music or your art, your craft. So like feeling satisfied that I've challenged myself and grown along the way as an artist, and also feeling like there's still more room to grow and continue growing, is a great place to be at.
Yeah, great. Well, we look forward to seeing that journey continue.
Thank you.
And thank you once again for coming on the show.
My pleasure.